People like you with no job and low education are not needed in this house. With those words, my mother-in-law poured boiling water on me. It's hot. Please stop. Shocked by my mother-in-law's bizarre behavior, I involuntarily screamed. No matter what, pouring boiling water to anyone is inexcusable. Fortunately, I had no burns, but it could have been a disaster. That's what I've been saying. We don't need someone unemployed and uneducated like you. I couldn't believe she poured boiling water over something like this. Moreover, it's not me but my husband who is unemployed. I began to feel a growing anger towards my mother-in-law's attitude. Enough is enough. If she's gone this far, I'll do as she wishes. Understood. If you insist, I have no choice. I'll leave this house. Finally, you're leaving. That makes things easier for me. Far from being remorseful, my mother-in-law openly expressed her joy at me leaving her house. I no longer wanted to stay in such a place like this. I immediately packed my things and returned to my parents' home. My mother-in-law didn't know that my husband Raphael was unemployed or that I had been supporting the household finances. In fact, since quitting my job, I had started trading stocks and was earning about $30,000 a month. Even if I was driven out of her house, I could still live on my own. I wouldn't have any issues being on my own at all. Even if she came to me in tears, struggling with living expenses, I would never lend a hand. She should regret kicking me out like this. I married Raphael about 2 years ago. We were from the same university and had been dating since then.
Julia, where will you work after graduation?
I haven't decided yet, but maybe a brokerish firm. Both of us, graduates of the economics department and vaguely aspiring to work in finance, managed to get jobs at different brokerage companies after graduation. After starting our jobs, we both had very busy days and hardly had time to meet. However, we maintained our relationship by staying in touch, and 3 years later, Raphael proposed.
Julia, I will definitely make you happy. Marry me.
Believing that I could be happy with Raphael, I accepted. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. We decided to get married. I thought I could build a happy family with the person I love, but then Raphael suddenly said something unexpected.
Hey, Julia, would you quit your job and live with me at my parents' house?
What? I don't mind quitting my job, but we're newlyweds. I'd like to live with just the two of us.
I'm just worried about leaving my mother alone. I'll make sure it won't be a burden to you.
Raphael's father had passed away from a heart attack when Raphael was in middle school, and since then he had lived with his mother. Being an only child, Raphael was concerned about his mother. I understand how you feel, Raphael. Okay, I'll live with you. I had met his mother before and didn't have a bad impression of her, and with Raphael there I thought we could manage. Thus I began living with Raphael and his family. 2 weeks later we moved into Raphael's family home. My mother-in-law, now able to live with Raphael, greeted us with a pleased expression. I'm looking forward to living with you from today. However, as soon as I greeted her, her expression clouded. She looked at me coldly, her face showing dissatisfaction, making it painfully clear that I was not welcomed. It doesn't matter. You didn't have to come here. What? Did I mishear it? I thought I heard my mother-in-law muttering something under her breath, but I couldn't make it out clearly, so I smiled and brushed it off. At this point, I began to feel a bit anxious about living with her, but the day passed without any particular issues. Then the next morning, "Are you still sleeping? Hurry up and prepare breakfast." I woke up to the sound of my mother-in-law yelling at me. When I looked at the clock by my bed, it was still before dawn, around 4 a.m., and it was still dark outside. I was surprised that she would demand breakfast so early. Why so early? Don't just laze around because you're not working. My mother-in-law yelled at me, still groggy from sleep. I thought it was way too early in the morning, but I couldn't argue back and started preparing breakfast. Even while preparing breakfast, my mother-in-law kept berating me. Hurry up! Why does it take you so long? You're so slow. After 30 minutes, breakfast was finally ready. I'm sorry for making you wait. You finally finished. Can't you make it faster? My mother-in-law complained again. I wanted to retort that it was physically impossible to do it any faster, but I just smiled and shrugged it off. What is this? This soup is too salty. What? Is it? I don't think it's that salty. What? Are you saying there's something wrong with my taste? Are you trying to kill me quickly by feeding me such salty meals? I never thought or intended such a thing. What is she talking about? And why is she so harsh on me? Curious, I mustered the courage to ask my mother-in-law. Why are you so harsh on me? What are you talking about? I don't think I'm being harsh. Or are you trying to make me the bad guy? No, that's not what I mean. I was overwhelmed by my mother-in-law's pressure and couldn't talk back. Once you finish eating, start cleaning. After that, there's laundry to do, so there's no time to rest. Since then, every day I was continually harassed by my mother-in-law, wearing me down both mentally and physically. While I was cleaning, she would say things like, "You missed the dust in the corner." When I was doing laundry, she'd complain, "There's still a stain." A month after starting to live with her, I felt like I was going to break if this continued, so I talked to Raphael about it. It's about your mother. She's been saying mean things to me every day, and it's hard. Could you please tell her not to say such things? But Raphael showed no reaction. I was momentarily irritated by Raphael's lack of response, but then I noticed something strange about him. He was pale, as if he had something important to say. What's wrong? Did something happen? When I asked, Raphael hesitantly began to speak.
Actually, I've been fired from the company.
What? Is this some kind of joke? I was speechless, unable to comprehend.
There was a downsizing at the company and I got laid off.
According to Raphael, due to recent economic downturns, the company's profits had plummeted, leading to unavoidable large-scale layoffs. So you'll be unemployed from tomorrow?
Well, I can work for 1 more month after receiving the notice of dismissal, but after that...
Fortunately, I had been using my knowledge from my time at the securities company to trade stocks. Although I struggled at first, I was now earning about $30,000 a month, so we weren't struggling financially. I was comforting Raphael and had forgotten about all the harassment from my mother-in-law. From the next day onwards, I continued to endure my mother-in-law's harsh treatments. Now that Raphael had lost his job, I felt it was necessary for me to be strong. I felt I had to be the one to support him. A month passed, and as scheduled, Raphael was officially laid off and became unemployed.
I'm truly sorry. I'll find a job soon.
Raphael started looking for a job the day after he was laid off, but gradually he began to laze around at home all day. Shouldn't you start looking for a job more seriously?
Yeah, I'm looking, but it's hard to find a good company that'll suit me.
Raphael just kept making excuses, seemingly having no intention of finding a new job. Reluctantly, I continued to support our household. As time went on, the harassment from my mother-in-law got worse, and I grew increasingly exhausted. Initially, I thought I had to endure it since Raphael was unemployed, but I no longer felt that way and spent my days feeling listless. Then one day, Raphael unusually went out in the morning. Maybe he had finally started to seriously look for a job. After seeing Raphael off, I started cleaning as usual. Make sure it's clean. Do it properly. My mother-in-law is sipping coffee on the living room sofa and hurling sarcasm at me. She's living the life. I was so fed up that I ignored her. Suddenly, my mother-in-law threw a tantrum and started yelling. How dare you ignore me when you're just a mere daughter-in-law and you don't even have a job? She stood up from the sofa and confronted me. I wondered why she was so angry. I continued cleaning, ignoring her. Still ignoring me? Unemployed and uneducated people like you should leave this house. She yelled and then poured boiling water on me. It must have been the hot water she prepared for her coffee. It's hot! Please stop! I screamed involuntarily at her sudden action. Thankfully, the water wasn't super boiling hot, so I didn't have any burns, but it could have been a disaster. You finally reacted. This is what I've been saying. If you're not working, leave this house. She was smirking as she said that. I had reached my limit with how she behaved towards me, and it's Raphael who's not working. I had no choice but to agree to her demand. All right, I'll leave. Good. That makes things easier. Leave quickly. I no longer wanted to spend another second in that house. I quickly packed my things and decided to leave that day. What happens to my mother-in-law from now on is none of my concern. She'll probably regret driving me away later. I left the house where I lived with Raphael, my mother-in-law, and headed straight to my parents' home. Upon arrival, my parents were surprised by the sudden visit, but welcomed me warmly. I waited for a call from Raphael, but there was neither a phone call nor a message. He probably didn't care about me anymore. Feeling a bit lonely, I decided not to contact him until he reached out. A month passed since I returned to my parents' house, but there was still no contact from Raphael. By this time, my feelings for Raphael had faded, and I started considering divorce. For that, I thought I would have to reach out. One early morning, the doorbell at my parents' house rang. On the monitor, I saw, to my surprise, Raphael and my mother-in-law. What now, after all this time? Yes, what can I do for you?
I've forgiven you. Now, come back home quickly.
She yelled through the intercom as usual. Forgiven me? What is she talking about? What have I done to her? I appreciate your words, but what exactly are you forgiving me for? I haven't done anything that requires forgiveness from you. After telling her that, I ended the intercom call. I was boiling with anger at my mother-in-law's attitude, yelling down at me as usual when she suddenly showed up. However, my mother-in-law and Raphael were persistent and started banging on the front door violently.
Don't just hang up on me. Come on, let's go back.
Considering the noise they were making could become a hassle to the neighborhood, I reluctantly opened the door and invited my mother-in-law and Raphael inside. After seating them on the sofa in the living room, I asked why they had come. Why are you both here all of a sudden?
I'm telling you to come back quickly.
It was my mother-in-law who told me to leave, and now she's saying this. It's so confusing, I can't make any sense of it. You're the one who told me to leave. There's no way I can go back now.
How long are you going to keep up this childish behavior? I'm saying I've forgiven you, so come back.
Forgiven me? What have I done to you?
Even someone unemployed and uneducated like you, I'm saying I'd let you stay in my house.
What? I'm not the unemployed one, it's Raphael. And if I go back to her house, they'll take advantage of me every day anyway. Right, I might not be working, but what about your son?
Huh? Raphael has nothing to do with this.
No, it does matter. Don't you know, your son has been unemployed for quite a while. My mother-in-law seemed confused upon hearing what I said. Apparently, Raphael hadn't told her about his layoff. It's something, living together and not noticing.
Raphael, are you really unemployed?
Ugh.
You need to say something. I can't understand if you're silent.
Sorry for not telling you about this. I was actually laid off from the company.
Raphael, initially silent, finally told his mother about him being laid off, perhaps feeling her irritation or succumbing to the pressure. My mother-in-law, initially shocked to hear about the layoff, soon began to openly express her anger towards Raphael.
Why did you keep quiet about this? What are we going to do now?
I haven't found a job yet, true. But since Julia has income, we'll be fine, right?
Relying on my income without even trying to find a job. I can't believe how worthless he is. Hearing Raphael's words, I felt completely done with everything. Even thinking for a moment that I should be the one to support him was so embarrassing of me. Did you come here relying on me without intending to look for a job?
No, I wouldn't do something like that.
Then why did you come now? You haven't contacted me since the day I left the house. No calls, no texts.
I didn't have time to contact you. I was looking for a job.
I was fed up with Raphael's endless excuses. Even if he was job hunting from morning till night, he could have sent a message or two.
Raphael is saying this too, so come back.
My mother-in-law interjected. Come back? How dare she say that? You must be joking. After all the terrible things you've done to me, there's no way I'd go back.
Don't be so dramatic. I was thinking of you when I said and did those things to you.
Huh? Thinking of me? Are you saying that pouring boiling water on me was because you were thinking of me? Unable to endure any longer, I let out everything I had been holding back to my mother-in-law. Raphael, unaware that his mother had poured boiling water at me, looked shocked.
Mom, you poured boiling water on Julia? Really?
Yes, it's true. It happened suddenly while I was cleaning. I didn't get burned, but I even thought about calling the police.
Mom, why did you do that?
It's because Julia was ignoring what I was saying.
This exchange sparked a heated argument between Raphael and my mother-in-law. They're so loud, even when they're at someone else's house. I should get them out of here quickly. Please, save your arguments for when you get home. If you're done here, please just leave. My words caused a complete change in my mother-in-law and Raphael's attitudes. The pair, previously so bold and assertive, now looked almost tearful as they pleaded.
Please, come back. I promise I won't do anything horrible again.
Julia, please. I promise. I'll find a job.
However, it was clear their real intention was to rely on my earnings. Raphael thinks he can be lazy and avoid work if I'm there. and my mother-in-law just wants to use me for housework and take everything out on me as a stress reliever. Your words are pointless. You two are just going to take advantage of me, right?
That's not true. I'll make sure not to cause you any trouble.
I couldn't believe his words anymore. You're just all talk and no action, you know. If you really meant what you said, you would have found a job by now. Lazing around all this time proves it. Raphael seemed unable to respond, perhaps stung by the truth in my words. You, mother-in-law, you say you won't do anything bad again? Who could believe that after all the harassment you've done to me every single day, you'll just start harassing me again soon enough? My mother-in-law, like Raphael, got quiet. Their silence meant that what I was saying was right. I left the two of them sitting there and headed to my room. When I returned to the living room 5 minutes later, they were still sitting in silence, heads down. How long do you plan to stay quiet? It doesn't matter to me anymore. Raphael, sign this instead. I handed Raphael a divorce form, already filled out with my name on it.
Wait, what is this?
Surprised by the pre-filled divorce form, Raphael looked utterly confused. Can't you see? It's a divorce form. I'm done with someone who won't find a job and didn't even contact me after I went back to my parents' house.
Wait, please. This is too sudden.
How can he be so stubborn? He doesn't seem to realize this is all his fault. I've made up my mind. My decision to divorce you won't change, no matter what you say.
Don't you think divorce is too harsh?
What? Harsh? I don't think so. It's his own fault. I spoke coldly and emotionlessly to my mother-in-law. After all, she's partly to blame.
All right, I get it. But don't regret it.
Seemingly given up, Raphael signed the divorce form, warning me not to regret it. But the one who should regret is Raphael. For the first time in a while, I felt a sense of relief. I'll submit the divorce form. I don't want any compensation, just go home. Thus, my divorce from Raphael was finalized. Maybe I went too far, but if I hadn't, my mother-in-law would have continued her harassment and Raphael would surely have remained unemployed. I kicked them out of the house and submitted the divorce form the same day. 2 weeks later, while relaxing at my parents' house, I suddenly received a call from my ex-mother-in-law. Yes, what is it?
You. The electricity and gas has been cut off. What's going on? Did you do something?
My ex-mother-in-law sounded upset and agitated, but I hadn't done anything. I had just stopped paying for Raphael and her living expenses. I haven't done anything.
That can't be true. Everything was working fine until now.
Have you been paying the utility bills?
Huh?
Electricity and gas aren't free. It was probably cut off due to unpaid bills, right?
Wait a minute. I'm in trouble. Julia, could you cover it just for this month?
I can't believe she's asking me this. It's absurd to think I would pay when I don't even live with them. Do you even realize what you're saying? Raphael and I are no longer a couple and we don't live together. Why should I pay?
I know it sounds unreasonable, but I just can't. I don't have any money.
Then ask Raphael. Didn't he say he would definitely find a job and work when we talked the other day?
But Raphael still hasn't found a job. Please help, as his ex-wife.
She's too much. Relying on an ex-wife like this, she should be ashamed of herself. I understand.
Thank you. So you'll take care of the payment?
Hearing my words, her tone brightened. I understand what you're saying. I don't want any further involvement with people who treat me as a convenience even after divorce. Goodbye.
What are you talking about? Wait a minute.
My ex-mother-in-law seemed to have more to say, but I hung up and set my phone to block her calls. This way I finally severed ties with her, who constantly harassed me, and Raphael, who was just a worthless scum. After hanging up, I muttered, "Serves you right." Since then, neither my ex-mother-in-law nor Raphael has bothered me at my parents' house, and life has been peaceful. One day, while checking stock charts on a holiday, I received a message on my phone. Thinking it was probably just spam, I checked it and found it was from Raphael.
I'm really sorry for everything. I realize now how much I relied on you, especially after I lost my job and you were still paying the bills. I've recently started working at a factory and finally have some income. I know it's late, but I wish you would come back. Ever since you left, my mom has been really harsh on me. It's tough.
Reading the message, I thought there was no chance of reconciliation. I'm glad that he's working now, but I have no intention of getting involved with them again. Seems like his mother's focus has shifted on him. People hardly change, I thought, and decided not to reply to the message, blocking Raphael. 6 months after the divorce, I started dating a man 5 years younger than me who was introduced by a friend. He's very reliable and treats me well. We haven't talked about marriage yet, but it might happen someday. Right now, I just want to cherish the happy times I'll spend with him.